Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'd like again, I think, at the cost of a petition, the Home Secretary, Right Honorable Amber Rudd, to Pakistan. And at the same time, I'd like to thank all of you, ladies and gentlemen. Ye raista kar dein isko. Awaaz saaf nahi hai. Thank all of you, ladies and gentlemen, for making it convenient to attend this press briefing at very short notice. It will not be a very detailed briefing. I think we've taken a lot of time of the Home Secretary since this morning. There have been a series of meetings culminating in the almost 3-hour meeting which she had with the representatives of the Ministry of Interior. If you were to ask me, and if I were to put it in a nutshell, the meetings were held in a very cordial, very friendly atmosphere, as in fact all meetings between. The discussions were frank, very candid, very open. We discussed a host of issues, and as a result of those discussions, we have just signed 2 agreements. One basically relates to immigration. Returnees, Pakistanis who, for some reason, are without documentation and are currently in the UK. And the second is a memorandum of understanding, or an MOU, which has identified and clarified the areas of cooperation between Pakistan and the United Kingdom, and put the whole thing in perspective, so to say. We've also decided that ministerial meetings should be held as far as possible on an annual basis, to be chaired by the respective Home or Interior Ministers. And the agenda is all-encompassing, ranging from security to counter-terrorism, narcotics, immigration, organized crime, sharing of information, sharing of intelligence information. So the whole gamut, if I am allowed to say, of relations, of cooperation relating to security matters. Pakistan consistently and historically has had a very good relation with the United Kingdom. I do not recall or see any serious problem which has in any way affected the relationship between the 2 countries. Yes, there are a few irritants, there are a few roadblocks, but we have agreed to address them within the limits of our authority, within the limitations imposed by our respective systems and our respective laws. So if I was to summarize it before handing over the floor to the Home Secretary, I am extremely satisfied with both the scope and the manner of our discussions. The agreements arrived at, and in particular, the understanding of each other's point of view, which was very visible and very obvious in these meetings. I would once again like to welcome the Home Secretary to Pakistan. This is her first visit to Pakistan. I hope, and as the Prime Minister also said, this is the first of many such visits in the future. And I hope the bedrock of cooperation, which has been historically built between the 2 countries, particularly relating to security, I think will be carried forward between our two respective ministries and our two respective governments. At this point, let me also identify and appreciate the role, the very proactive leadership of the former Home Secretary and the present Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. She has made many visits to Pakistan. She has many friends and well-wishers here. And I think as Home Secretary, she has done a lot to bring the two countries closer in just about every field of her responsibility. We hope that in a new position as Prime Minister, she will carry the torch forward. And as the Prime Minister said, and I'm repeating it publicly, we are looking forward to the Prime Minister's visit to Pakistan in the very near future. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Your Excellency, for that kind welcome and for the very constructive discussions that we've had. As Home Secretary, my priorities are mostly at home in the United Kingdom, but in our increasingly interconnected world, I know that ensuring security and justice for the British people requires us to work closely with important partners overseas, and that means Pakistan. Our shared history, our global and regional challenges, and the 2% of the British population who trace their roots back to Pakistan means that the UK has uniquely close ties to Pakistan. That, of course, includes the issues of security, immigration, and justice for which I am responsible. But it also includes significant opportunities for our mutual prosperity as Pakistan's economy continues to grow and the UK takes advantage of its new relationships outside the EU. So I was delighted to accept the Interior Minister's kind invitation to discuss how to enhance our partnership. I know that when she was Home Secretary, the Prime Minister greatly enjoyed and valued her working relationship with Minister Nisar, and I look forward to building on that close understanding between our two countries. I would also like to pay tribute to the hard work of the Minister, as well as Pakistan's police and its armed forces, in delivering significant improvements in security across Pakistan over the last 2 years. While we know that the challenges are still considerable, that hard work has brought increased security for the people of Pakistan and the UK, for British nationals in Pakistan and for British business wanting to trade with and invest in Pakistan. As the Interior Minister has said, we've just had very constructive discussions on a wide range of shared interests, and that is reflected in the Memorandum of Understanding that I was delighted to sign with the Minister. Following on from these discussions, I look forward to enhancing our relationship in several areas. First, in tackling the shared challenges from terrorism, extremism, and organised crime. Pakistan has suffered more than most from the scourge of terrorism. We already work closely together to tackle these threats, but we can do more, which is why I'm pleased that the Prime Minister's Special Envoy on Counter-Terrorism will be visiting shortly to expand our cooperation structured around Pakistan's own National Action Plan. I hope this will include further work on building safer cities, including here in Islamabad. Secondly, I want to see closer cooperation on extradition and mutual legal assistance to ensure there is no escape from justice in either country. Last year saw the first extradition to the UK from Pakistan in over 10 years of a man later convicted of a double murder and jailed for 31 years. And I look forward to that cooperation becoming the norm. Thirdly, on aviation and border security. When it opens later this year, Islamabad's new airport will play an important role in the safe and secure movement of people between our two countries. I'm pleased that we're supporting the airport's development with training and expertise and hope to see more international flights coming to Islamabad in the future. I'm also pleased that we're working closely together to tackle organised immigration crime. While my message is that the United Kingdom is open for business, both countries want to ensure our borders remain secure for the many legitimate travellers that move between the two countries each year. The Interior Minister also raised with me the situation of Altaf Hussain. I recognise the strength of feeling about this issue. As Home Secretary, I cannot have any role in the independent decisions of the police, but I can stress that the principles of British justice apply to everyone equally, with no exceptions. I assured the Interior Minister that within my powers, I am committed to working closely with Pakistan to ensure our cooperation facilitates the application of justice in all cases. Before we take questions, I'd like to conclude with my congratulations and best wishes on the occasion of Pakistan's National Day this Thursday. As Pakistan celebrates its 70th anniversary this year, the UK is also proud to celebrate 70 years of diplomatic relations with Pakistan. That shared history is a strong foundation for our cooperation for the years ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
First question we have from Azaz from DawnNews. Thank you. Ms. Minister, welcome to Pakistan.
Thank you.
My question to you is that broadly here in Pakistan there is an impression that Mr. Altaf Hussain, who's wanted in several cases in Pakistan, is being protected by your Secret Service and your establishment. You've just mentioned the principles of justice of your country. Why is this that each time when Pakistani government files you a reference or a request, there is always a delay from your side? The second question to Mr. Minister is with you. Mr. Minister, we have been watching you vigorously pursuing different cases, particularly some cases in Britain. And I would like to talk on the particular case of Mr. Altaf Hussain. You've been pursuing this case, and we've hearing and reporting you that you've been saying that justice would be done. How closer you have come with the visiting minister, and how much you are hopeful that something important or something useful be done in that particular case of Imran Farooq's murder? Thank you.
My answer is that I understand the government's concern, and that is why when the minister raised it with me, we had a frank conversation about it. We have absolutely no tolerance in the UK for illegal activities and for people who think they can evade the law. So I have no personal role in enforcing it, but as the Home Secretary, I will make sure that our laws are upheld. This is for the CPS and the police, and we will continue to make sure that they do the right thing.
Well, as the Home Secretary has very eloquently reflected the substance of our discussions, I will not get into the issue in any more detail, except to say that I have been raising this issue consistently over the last 3.5 years with the former Home Secretary and the now Prime Minister, and now with the present Home Secretary. There has never been a difference of opinion on the issue at our level. Yes, there have been issues at the administrative level about what Pakistan requests or areas of request are, or what we are demanding, or what we are expecting, and what the Home Office can deliver. There are administrative issues, there are legal issues. But again, without giving too much away, let me reiterate that I am very satisfied with what transpired in our meeting inside on this issue, and as importantly, what the Home Secretary has said so very publicly. Suffice it to say that the perception about this individual and his activities is so very different in UK from the perception here in Pakistan. And as a representative of this government, I feel that it has become a small irritant in an otherwise all-encompassing relationship. So we have evolved a total consensus, as before, as to how to go forward within the limitations both on the authority and the legal restraints of the Home Office, and similarly within the authority and the legal powers of the Interior Ministry of Pakistan.
Home Secretary, you say Britain is open for business. There are extensive trade contacts between Pakistan and Britain, very often at small business level. But the trade deals between the two countries are entirely EU trade deals, and there is concern amongst the business community here about what Brexit's going to mean for them. What sort of reassurance can you give the business community here about ongoing trade between the two countries, and what sort of, or to both you and the Interior Ministry, Minister, what sort of opportunities do you see for the future?
Thank you very much. Well, I see leaving the European Union as an opportunity to really step up our relationships, our trading relationships, particularly with a country like Pakistan. It puts an extra momentum and urgency in wanting to make sure that we reassure businesses here and that we work with both UK businesses exporting and Pakistan businesses exporting even more closely. The whole point about leaving the European Union is to make sure that we are absolutely a global Britain, open for business, deepening those relationships with a country like Pakistan. So I hope that, in direct answer to your question, that businesses here will take some excitement and enthusiasm from the renewed vigour that we're approaching our relationship with Pakistan.
If I'm allowed to add, Madam Home Secretary, in spite of the fact that trade and commerce does not fall within our area of responsibility, it is an area which was discussed both in the meeting with the Prime Minister and the Home Secretary, and then in our own bilateral meeting. I think both sides are very conscious, very clear about the fact that trade is the way forward to take the relations between the two countries to a higher level. And in this context, after my last visit to the UK, I talked to the Prime Minister and got approved the visit of the Commerce Secretary of Pakistan to the United Kingdom. We are planning more such bilateral visits, focusing entirely on trade and commerce. We feel that is the way forward. We feel that is in the interest of Pakistan and the UK, and the opportunities both in the UK, post-Brexit, and Pakistan, post-CPEC, and given the improved security situation here, the sky is the limit to which the two countries, to the extent to which the two countries can cooperate.
My question is to Home Secretary. Pakistan has recently held talks with Afghanistan after closure of Afghan border. So what kind of facilitation UK is extended to resolve the issue of between Afghanistan and Pakistan in countering terrorism?
In counter-terrorism. Well, this is an area that the Minister and I have been discussing extensively. We have lots to learn from each other, and I have extended to him suggestions of additional support which we can give where we have particular areas of expertise which we think can be of help. And I have been talking to him too about his advice on areas of extremism where we might learn something. So in terms of counter-terrorism, I hope that we'll be able to work even more closely to make sure that we continue to make Pakistan even safer. As I said earlier, I've been impressed by the way that this country has increased its safety record so significantly over the past 2 years, and I hope we'll be able to help you build on that with some of our ideas and developments.
Just to add, the specific point of occurrence has been the recent meeting in London between our foreign advisor, Mr. Sataj Aziz, and the National Security Advisor of Afghanistan. I think that facilitation took place through the good offices of Her Majesty's government. And as a result of the discussions that took place, you have already seen some positive movements in diffusing tensions and doubts between Afghanistan and Pakistan. One such instance took place just today, the opening of the Torkham border. The basic objective is to package areas of cooperation in this area both in areas of regional security and of internal security, to package them, put them together, and then discuss with them over the next few weeks and months before we come to some kind of an agreement.
Well, I'm to the visiting Home Secretary. Basically, British between Afghanistan and Pakistan and this opening of the border. I'm wondering what else Britain can do to help sustain this reconciliation process, which is seen important for the stabilization efforts in Afghanistan, because we're seeing a lot of violence in Afghanistan in the shape of Taliban attacks.
Yes, that's absolutely right. Well, we hope that the example of our assistance, which the Interior Minister kindly referred to in London, is something that other countries or Afghanistan might take advantage of again. We remain ready to try and facilitate meetings that will help for a peaceful atmosphere to evolve in London wherever we can. We are friends to Pakistan, and so whenever we can, we will try to facilitate that sort of environment.
I think the United Kingdom is uniquely equipped for that role. It is a country and a people who listen to the other's point of view, who absorb the other point of view, who don't trust a solution on their own. So I think very well placed for this facilitation, and their facilitation is well appreciated in the region. Thank you.